Left of the box. So recently I've covered in Alberta how Danielle Smith wants to push through horrendous legislation targeting trans children. The thing is that when they get these little wins, it never stops. You know, they keep on pushing it and seeing what they can get away with. United Conservative Party members set to debate more transgender policies at AGM. Alberta's United Conservative Party members will soon debate 35 policy resolutions that include banning transgender people from women's washrooms, prohibiting non-binary gender identifiers on government documents, so I can't travel there anymore, and ensuring trans medical treatment are not publicly funded. I glanced the article. I didn't read all of this. Yet, that's horrible. To deny people health care based on their gender, to not allow certain identifiers on government documents. That I was born in Alberta. I got my birth certificate in Alberta changed, so my gender is X on it. The party's annual general meeting begins November 1st in Red Deer, where Premier Danielle Smith leadership will also be up for review. Oh, please. Just maybe you need a leadership race there. It's being billed by the party as the largest political convention in Canadian history, with at least 5,428 UCP members registered to attend. I really hope some of those who registered to attend aren't actually UCP members and just went in there to stir up the pot. Party policies are non-binding on the government, and member approval doesn't guarantee ideas will become law. Dr. Christopher Wells, Canada Research Chair for the Public Understanding of Sexual and Gender Minority Youth at McMaster University, said Smith needs to condemn the resolutions as discriminatory, unconstitutional, and dangerous. When you don't denounce it, you enable it, says Wells in an interview Friday. If passed, they would be some of the most extreme anti-trans and anti-2S LGBTQ policies, not only in Canada, but in the world. Smith said in a brief statement in her role as party leader at the UCP members have voted on policy resolutions that matter to them, including prohibiting any consumer carbon tax, protecting children, strengthening landowner rights, and protecting Alberta's jurisdictional authority. As leader, I respect the grassroots party's process and look forward to debate in November, she said. Wells was recently appointed to the Senate by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. He said the party resolutions, if they become policy, would be in direct violation of the Alberta Human Rights Act. Wells says there are already long wait lists and limited funding for transgender health care in Alberta, and changing the law governing birth certificates, driver's license, and health care cards would be unconstitutional. Yeah, no, you don't get to change my birth certificate back. These policies are designed to attack the very existence of trans people in Alberta, says Wells. This is the kind of hate and rhetoric that leads to young people taking their own lives. So much for protecting the children. In its policy resolution targeting washrooms, change rooms, shelters, and dormitories, the Calgary Lougheed Constituency Association argues that men being allowed in those spaces presents a danger to women and girls. Alternative arrangements can be created for the small population who do not conform to their sex at conception without abolishing the single-sex spaces preferred by the vast majority of the population. Trans women are women, trans girls are girls, and should have equal access to women's spaces. A policy resolution from the Beaumont constituency says transgender medical treatments are in the realm of cosmetic surgery and costs should not be placed on all taxpayers. It's not cosmetic. A resolution from another place, the third option for a sex on official documents should be mothballed to maintain clarity and reliability. Since taking the helm of the party, Smith has made some party policies government priorities and rejected others. A resolution passed in 2023 to keep transgender people out of correctional facilities for women has not been adopted by Smith's government. However, new rules requiring schools to get consent from parents before students can change their names or pronouns are expected to be introduced after lawmakers reconvene later this month. This caught my eye for reasons. It's personal to me, as well as it's harmful. And it's setting a bad precedent for this country. Because when one province gets away with this, another province is encouraged to go further. And that's what's been happening recently. You see that with the policies in schools about outing trans children. One province did it, then others do a yes and. We'll do that and we'll add on to it. And it keeps on cascading like that. You don't see that happening in the other direction. You don't see, wow, this progressive policy got pushed through in this province, and their province says yes, and we'll build on that. That would be nice, to see that the other way around for a change. That would be really nice to be like, not only will we give universal health care, but we'll include pharmacare with that. Well, not only will we include pharmacare, we'll include hearing and eye care. Well, we'll include dental care. Well, we'll include all of this. Well, we'll include like that. That'd be nice to see provinces trying to outdo each other that way, as opposed to trying to outdo each other in stripping away people's rights. So, John Bell, I don't know if you're in the SandBox in good faith or not. It's hard to tell these days. You say Smith can keep doing what she's doing. It's the will of the Albertan people. It's not the will of all the Albertan people. The way that electoral politics works in this country, it rarely ever is the will of all the people. And you know what? The will of the people doesn't trump people's human rights. It doesn't trump how we're protected under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. So you can have a province full of racist-ass people. That doesn't make it okay, and that doesn't trump people's rights to receive equal treatment. And then you say we can't have male psychopaths taking advantage of trans rights to creep in girls' bathrooms, though, can we? Name one instance that you, like an actual one, that this has happened. The thing is it doesn't happen. Men who want to take advantage of girls and women, they don't need to go into a washroom. They usually just need to go into a family's room. It's usually family members who do that sort of thing to each other. People you know, friends, neighbors. But where is this a problem? Do you know, like, a place that this has actually been a problem, where some man just pretends to be trans to get access to a woman's washroom because apparently that's the only place he knows how to creep on people? That he can't creep on people in other places, but he has to pretend to be trans in order to get into a woman's washroom, because it's not like he can't be a straight cishet male and go into a washroom to creep on people. Do you think not identifying as trans would prevent him from doing that? And then you say most trans children would grow out of their gender confusion by the time they hit 18. Is it unethical to give them life-changing drugs for something that is normal? Most trans children do not grow out of it. It is not a phase. The overwhelming percentage of children who are trans are trans. And in actuality, there are far more trans children who never get the opportunity to transition. That's where the actual problem is. The amount of hoops people have to jump through, the certifications, the doctors, the psychiatrists that they need to get in order to get to that level where they can actually start getting gender-affirming care is very, very difficult. So there are far, far, far more children who need to access it that can't. And no, it's not confusion. Children know which gender they are. It's not a phase. They are trans. And cite the source. Where's the source saying that they grow out of it? And don't give me that bullshit. I forget his name. That Anna Kasparian likes to quote, because he's transphobic and use little teeny tiny cherry-picked analysis and stuff. But the vast majority of children who transition are trans. The regret rate for transition is minuscule compared to every other surgery. And in fact, trans children tend to be healthier mentally compared to their cisgendered friends when they are accepted by their peers and their family. And John Bell also says, even if it's 50%, you're okay with harming other children permanently for the sake of some feelings or of confusion. I'm not saying these kids don't need help. So if you prevent a trans child from transitioning and going through their proper puberty, you are permanently hurting them. Okay, like I said, the regret rate for trans children is minuscule compared to every other thing out there. But if you force a child to go through a puberty that isn't theirs, that's permanently harming them as well. And it's not even 50%. You also say, people have gone through life like that all for years. We've been around as a species. It's not exactly the greatest tragedy known to us. A lot of people have had to deny who they are, live in a closet, suffer mental trauma because of it, because they weren't free to come out and be who they are. It's an individualized tragedy. It's tragic for a single person to have their life so altered if they can't actually just be able to be free to express who they are, to be the gender that they know themselves to be. It's not on the scale of a war or a famine or anything, but it's socially imposed. It is something that is forced on people, and that is a tragedy. And it doesn't matter how big or small a tragedy is, it's a tragedy. And we would like to minimize as many tragedies as possible. It's not a competition. If we can minimize tragedy, we do that. But the chances of that person being in the SandBox in good faith, it's also very slim. But it is important for people to actually know the flip side of the talking points. Like the thought that a child will get hormone replacement therapy as a teenager to go through their proper puberty. Oh, well, that permanently alters them. Well, so does going through a puberty that isn't theirs without the hormone therapy. And that can be traumatic to them, and that causes permanent changes in them. So why is that one okay, but not the hormone replacement therapy one? The one that they choose. Why is it okay to force them to go through one and not the other? And not having equal access to healthcare, not having equal treatment in the school system, not having equal treatment to social services, all that sort of stuff goes against the Charter of Rights and Freedoms in this country. And the idea in this country that we elect people in, it's like, no. Doug Ford got in to be premier of this province again through 18% of possible votes. And it's the games they play to suppress people, to make them apathetic, to make them not energized to get out. Doug Ford does not represent what Ontario is. And the same goes with Danielle Smith and every other leader. And John Martinez also saying, like I said, you can't force people to be the gender they aren't. That's oppression. It's abusive as well. And so Left pointing out it's not a permanent change. If it was permanent, they wouldn't need to continuously take the medication. Come on. Yeah, if it's so permanent, how can there be detransitioners? It does make some permanent changes to the body in physicality and things of that sort. It depends on which puberty you go through. That has the primary effect on what will happen to the body and the permanent changes that set in. But hormones, yeah, they'll be required. And all trans women that I know, their biggest regret was not being able to transition sooner. Lady Badass trans woman here would have loved if I could have puberty blockers and learned about trans people at a young age, because I only found the world realize trans after learning about trans people. Yeah, like I said, all the trans women I know, because I don't know any who transitioned before puberty, during puberty. They were all adults at the time, but all of them wish they could have, and all of them knew who they were as a child. Obsessive audio, all the lying is getting people killed, and they're lying at every opportunity. And not allowing children to transition is also putting their lives at risk. In my last live stream, I covered there's been studies that actually prove that because of how extreme the laws are in the states. There's they've actually been able to do an analysis that they would never purposely put anyone through, where the states where they refuse to allow children to transition versus the ones that accept it. And suicide attempts and suicides in the red states, the ones that have taken away the rights, are much, much higher because of it. Bad Lefty, I admire your patience, Sandy, and all your LGBTQ plus family shouldn't have to explain their existence to people that, in my opinion, are not coming in good faith, but I tend to assume the worst of people.